CHGO White Sox post-game show, coming to you live from Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
Our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow him at NectarWall23. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. You're joining us for Mardi Gras in July, presented by our friends over at Family Farms and Cajun Nation. We just had a watch-along for this entire game as we saw the White Sox lose 10-3 and lose their 17th straight game. Sarah, do we have the history drop? Do we have that to celebrate?
History!
They're in a place of their own. In White Sox history, no team has ever been passed this far into the atmosphere, the stratosphere. If we're talking about being people landing on the moon, no team, White Sox team, has ever lost 17 straight, except this team. You're watching history. 2024. This is a historic year.
And this year, they have both broken their single season record and obliterated their franchise record with two separate losing streaks. The current one, which is standing at 17, and then the 14-game losing streak they had earlier in the year. So they're, man, when it comes to futility, they are the best. They do not leave any stone unturned when it comes to being the worst, which I love. If you're going to be the worst, be the best at it.
Hey, be the best at it. Be the worst team ever. I'm totally fine with that. Alec saying the Sox are now so bad it's actually must-see TV. And I will push back on that, Alec. As somebody who is forced to watch this TV consistently, do not watch them. Rogue Wave saying, I finally get the term hate watching. And again, I don't even think that I'm watching because I hate them. The only reason I am watching is to serve you fans. Absolutely. And I don't mean this in a way that I'm not enjoying my job. Of course I am. But as a White Sox fan, they give you no reason on a daily basis to tune in. There are probably maybe some reasons to tune in. Drew Thorp is intriguing. But, I mean, after the second inning, you pretty much saw all of Drew Thorp for the day. It's very easy for the rug to get pulled from underneath you. It's disgusting to watch. 17th straight loss, 17th sweep of the season. Futile doesn't even like sum up this team.
No.
It is disgusting, offensive, and outright criminal baseball.
It is. Is it my guy? Is that our guy who we've had on the show, the Jordan Schusterman?
I think so.
My guy.
You got to go for the record. You got to be the worst ever because, hey, if people will watch if they're the worst ever. If they lose 125 games, people will tune in for that 124th, 125th loss. But still, like, that doesn't mean it's going to be good baseball. You are watching the worst baseball to ever be presented in Major League Baseball's history.
And if you guys didn't watch the game, God bless you. The thing we talked about, what happened in the ninth inning, where there's a ball hit by, it was Isbell, I forgot who hit it. It was a right-handed hitter for the Kansas City Royals. Routine fly ball to left field, and our new left fielder, Miguel Vargas, botches it badly. Misplays it initially, has to jump for the ball, hits off his glove, goes into the left center field gap. That is how White Sox baseball is going. A guy who we should be over the moon for getting because he was a top 40 prospect last year with the LA Dodgers, graduated from that because he played too many games in the majors, still young enough. And so we're thinking, okay, yeah, he doesn't have a necessary position in the field, but his bat is going to come. Bat hasn't been there in the two games he's played, and of course, way too early there. But we could see his defensive deficiencies on that ball and on that play specifically. So, yeah, the thing that we have looking forward to is the young players they eventually will bring up, and then them setting records for losses, for futility. Those are the games I'm looking forward to. Those September games, usually last year, we were just like, get to October. This season sucks. We're going to lose 100 games, and it sucked. But this year, we got something totally different. We're going to lose 100 games by the middle of August. we're going to be like praying to the gods that we get the record here and obliterate and have no doubt that we are the worst team of all time. And usually out of that, you would see some change. A general manager wouldn't last through the worst season in baseball. A manager definitely wouldn't last through that. We might get the manager. We're never getting the general manager, even if this season's been the way it is. And that's the only problem being a White Sox fan. A bottoming out year like this would get change on a level that teams would want, fans would want. We're going to get new stuff in here. We're going to take this thing down to the studs and then build it up. No, we're just going to get more of the same next year, which next year's team might be worse. Gave away some of our best players. Gave away the guy who's got 7 of our 27 wins this year in Eric Fetty. And if they're going to be trading Garrett...
20 wins?
Huh?
He had 20
He had 7 of the 27 White Sox wins.
You said 20 of the 27.
No, 7 of the 27 White Sox wins with Eric Fetty, and we're going to be giving away Garrett Crochet in the offseason. I like their pitching staff. I like Jonathan Cannon. I like Drew Thorp, who didn't pitch well today, but you're going to be throwing those guys all in 2025. This might not get better next year. It might get worse.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially if they trade Crochet and Robert. There's no Crochet or Robert on this team. There's no Moncada to give them 10 games of like one war baseball.
Still, I mean, the 8th best player on the team?
Yes, sir. We do see a decent amount of new people, so hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. Avery Novak saying to go from 93 and 69 in 2021 to 81 and 81 in 2022 to 61 and 101 in 2023 to this is another level of collapsing. Absolutely. This is the 20th team in Major League Baseball to have a losing streak 17 games or longer. What they are chasing after is 23 straight losses. The 1961 Phillies from 61 to July 29th to August 20th in 1961 lost 23 straight games. So that is the history that they're going after. The most intriguing part, too, is the second worst team is the Baltimore Orioles of 1988. Can Gavin Sheets and Larry Sheets be on 2 of the top 3 worst teams of all time? If this team gets to 21 straight losses, Gavin and Larry Sheets would be able to, talk about their baseball careers in just historically disgusting fashion.
And do you know what the 24th loss in a row would be, Sean?
The Cubs.
The Chicago Cubs on August 9th. And you know what? You can be there right now. Go to allchgo.com and come to watch the game with us on August 9th, where we could see history, where the White Sox lose to the Cubs and lose their 24th game in a row. What better thing is to do? Firstly, meet up at Turtles before the game. Then go to the game, watch the White Sox get housed by the Cubs. Fireworks after the game to celebrate the 24th loss in a row. So I'm just saying, man, get your tickets now so you can witness history. If you wait until the day of the game, they're going to be sold out because, like Sean said, and a lot of people in the chat are saying, now it's just a thing of how many losses can they have in a row.
Yeah.
Now, the Oakland A's games next week might throw a little wrench in the whole system. But we know how we play out there in Oakland.
Now, come on, Mark Kotze gets the boys ready. We do have Husky Bardo and then also Connor Smith talking about Jesse Rogers' recent tweets. Jesse Rogers of ESPN 1000 tweeting out lots of rumbling about Pedro Grifol's job status here at the park. I'm not sure if that is just media talking to one another or if that is actual sourcing from Jesse Rogers, but we will monitor it. We talked about it during our live game that there is an off day tomorrow. So if the White Sox did decide to make a managerial move, tomorrow would make sense. But I don't understand the idea of firing a guy 17 games into a losing streak. Just let him finish it. Again, you can't fire a boat captain when he's halfway down to the ocean floor. Just let him hit the bottom and sink with it. And shout out to Papa Hogue. He's always supporting CHGO, whether it's his man on CHGO Bears or his guys on the CHGO White Sox podcast.
And that's the thing.
The Hoger's going up to Target Field on Friday.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, people like Papa Hogue are dyed-in-the-wool White Sox fans, had season tickets. People who love this team and still will love this team past it. But I don't know if he's been to games this year. I think he's been to more Twins games because they have family up there than White Sox games. And that's what Jerry Reinsdorf has done. Turn people who would love to give Jerry Reinsdorf money to watch a product that isn't great, but at least you have great times at the ballpark, to people that are apathetic, that don't care, that don't want to be associated with this team at all. That is the danger that the White Sox are in right now, is apathy. Not anger. We're way past anger. Now it's, I don't care about them. I'm finding a new team. Like myself. Last night, I watched my Padres.
Get a win.
I tell you what, that's exciting baseball. They were down 5-0 versus the Dodgers. Never had a doubt that the Padres are going to go out and try to do whatever it takes to grab that dub, and they did in extra innings. People like, all these people in the thing are big, dyed-in-the-wool White Sox fans, and so they're not at apathy yet because they're here. But it's not far off, but these people can be in apathy, and they better watch themselves. The White Sox better watch themselves if they don't lose the fans that are out there still waiting for this thing to turn around.
I don't know about the apathy word, because I feel like now is where people might switch from being apathetic to being interested because they are so bad. So I don't know. I hear you. I think everything from July and before, we saw a decent amount of apathy. And I don't know how you feel, but I think that we saw a decent amount of apathy so far. I think you're going to see the opposite of apathy. I think you're going to see true hatred from White Sox fans in August and September, because they should hate this team. They should be so frustrated and beyond livid with Jerry Reinsdorf and the effort that this organization has put out. He said that 2023 was the worst season in baseball he's ever seen. He spoke too fast. I'm so done with that hat. I'm so hot with that hat. It is beyond words. And I don't know. I don't know whether to laugh, whether to cry, whether to be angry. It is such a terrible position for fans to be in. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us and being along with us. We will watch every single 162 games for you and be able to bring these recaps, whether they lose 17 straight games, 18 straight. I feel like I don't even really want them to set the losing streak record. I would like them to lose tomorrow and then have another 14-game losing streak, so they could be the first team in Major League Baseball history with 3 14-plus losing streaks. But also, like...
Just hold on one quick. They can't lose tomorrow.
They can't lose tomorrow. That's a good point. But someone asked, will they reach 100 losses before 30 wins? Right now, they're, 27-84? They absolutely will go, 2-14? I mean, they're 3-22 in July. To start the year, they were 3-21. And they influxed Tommy Pham and went 9-8. I mean, Tommy Pham's not on his way back. The A's, I know, are coming up, but the A's want to finish at 500. The A's see a layup on their schedule.
Oh, yeah. Only two teams that are not in contention that the White Sox play in the month of August are much better than the White Sox. The A's that he just said, and the Detroit Tigers for a 4-game set here at Guaranteed Rate Field. Everybody else is in contention, even though the Cubs sold away a little bit. There's still only 5 games or 6 games out of the last wild card spot in the National League, and we could throw away the records when it comes to Cubs Sox. Your Cub fan friend might feel apart, and these games are just the same thing, but guaranteed, if they lose that game, they'll be crestfallen. We see it every day when CHGO Cubs Cody goes to one of our takeovers, and he's down in the dumps when they're losing to the White Sox, and then when they beat the White Sox eventually, it's like he won the World Series. So don't let your Cubs fan friends gaslight you to think that those series don't mean anything to them or the Cubs as an organization. So these games that they got coming up, those teams will be licking their chops, fork, knife, tablecloth ready to eat versus the White Sox.
Yeah, and Cody is a guy that thinks that Cubs fans have it worse than White Sox fans, which, hey, he is fine to have that wrong opinion. But if the White Sox do beat the Cubs in any of those games, we're going to hear that touted because, we can't even beat the White Sox.
I'm going to talk all the shit. If the White Sox win another game, I don't care which team it's going to be. I'm going to be on my Twitter and talk shit to the opposing team. Like, couldn't even beat the White Sox. They've won 28 games this year. Well, 27 at that time. They'll win their 28th. Man, I wish I could talk smack to the Royals because I don't like them at all. But the White Sox, they played 12 games or 13 games or so Royals and one game.
Is that series over?
It's over.
Oh, Jesus.
One game versus the Royals this year.
How awful.
It was a 2-1 victory.
I know some people talk, and I think our guy Jimbo, who we love, shout out to our guy Jimbo, who's a diehard and hanging out with us in our Discord member. He said, though, like, you can't really blame Pedro because of the players that are out there. And I hear that because I am a person that doesn't believe managers matter. But when you talk about being in a Kansas City dugout and seeing how the White Sox dugout lacked energy, and then you come over, and I think they had a horrible record against the Royals last year and had a horrible record against them this year. So I don't think that managers matter, and even if they can notice a team being as horrible as they are, like, you need somebody who can actually change a culture, come in and be somebody who can define a team. Pedro Gallardo was not that.
I know we got a break, but managers don't matter that much. But as we were talking about the live watch along, Pedro gave his team only a chance to score 3 runs in the inning where they started the inning off with 3 straight hits. Then he bunted the next guy. And yes, that run did come in to score, but that was the last run of the inning, of the game. Yeah. He was playing in the second inning for 1 run, where the Royals had already scored 3. That's where managers matter, where they're doing dumb strategic things and giving you not a better chance to win, but taking the bat away from one of the players that you have a chance to watch. And Nick Senzel taking the bat away from him, and a pitcher that was on the ropes, and they're like, oh, I can relax now.
And what did Senzel do the next time he was up?
Lace the double down the line.
So there you go. Just let him swing. Let's let you know about our friends over at Family Farms. We had a fantastic and fun day with them today. We had Mardi Gras in July. Shout out to our friends over at Family Farms. They're supporting the CHGO patio that is all decked out and looking very nice. We're excited to spend some time out there. Their culinary journey is woven with passion, dedication, and a commitment to crafting the finest bacon wrapped chicken, a timeless delicacy that has tantalized taste buds since 1974. Join them on this flavorful adventure where every bite tells a story of tradition, quality, and the enduring spirit of Family Farms. The tradition continues. You can now find Family Farms bacon wrapped chicken even easier. Look for them in the meat department at your local Woodman's, Mariano's, and Burcott's. And if you're craving a taste of home without leaving yours, check out baconwrappedchicken.com or click the link for our Amazon store, which also includes the legendary Rocky Rococo's Italian sausage. We were able to try the bacon wrapped chicken. That was fantastic. The Rocky Rococo Italian sausage, which had all of those Italian seasonings in them. We also got to try the great Cajun Nation seasoning. Our guys from the Cajun Coast came down, gave us a try of their Cajun Nation seasoning. That was fantastic. They also got Cajun sugar, some Cajun heat for you, some Cajun Coast stuff, which is, as they told us, their seafood boil mix. So if you are having a seafood boil, just basically dump some Cajun Coast in there, and
measure with your heart.
You measure with your heart, and your seafood will taste like the Cajun Coast.
And somebody was asking in the chat, I know we're not done with the break, but what are the record in 1-run games? 8 in 23, which is the worst in baseball.
Nice. Experience the flavors that become a family favorite for generations. Visit your nearest Woodman's, Mariano's, Burcott's, or Amazon, or go to baconwrappedchicken.com. Thank you again to our friends over at Family Farms. And we want to let you know about our friends over at Shady Rays. I unfortunately broke my Shady Rays that I had for 2 years, and our guy, Chris, reached out and was able to get me my new Oakmonts, and I'm very excited to have my polarized sunglasses back in my life. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with the premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. That's my favorite part. I didn't know really what polarized meant. I was always just buying stuff from the gas station, the Walgreens, etc. Shady Rays has the best sunglasses I've ever had, and for the price, you truly cannot beat what Shady Rays offers. They're an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames. Mine lasted for over 2 years. I sat on them. I threw them. I did everything in my ability to break them. It finally happened. It was complete fluke accident. It was just the wear and tear, and I got a replacement for free. And if you have your shades go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades too, you can exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Thank you to Shady Rays.
And David Barista is asking, is there a trophy on the line for the Cubs series? There is, but the Cubs already won it since they won the 2 games in Wrigley, and they were already the champions from last year. They retain the cup no matter what. No matter if the White Sox do win these next 2 games at guaranteed rate field. So they'll be drinking out of the sweet, sweet nectar of the BP Cup, which is not called that anymore this year again.
No, it's not. We do have some Garrett Crochet audio that we were going to get to, but I did just hear the chime of Vinnie Duber, CHGO White Sox beat writer. So why don't we just bug Vinny for a second, then we'll hear from Garrett Crochet, and we'll talk a little bit more about Garrett. If there is a firing of Pedro Gallardo, there will be an emergency podcast. We do have a show scheduled for Thursday at 1 p.m. So if they do make that decision tomorrow, hopefully it's at noon, so we can just have our show at 1 p.m. But Vinny, we saw a tweet from Jesse Rogers that has been put through our chat. We're just more wondering, was that media chatter amongst you all, or is that a source thing from Jesse that Pedro's job might be on the line within the next 24 hours?
As far as I know, it's the latter. Obviously, us types talk about things that are going on just like anybody else, any other group of folks watching this team would. So, we have conversations amongst ourselves all the time about all sorts of stuff. But no, as far as I know, that's reporting coming from Jesse.
Okay. Yeah, because, wait, that is reporting?
As far as I know.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. I thought the latter meant it was just more you guys just chattering and just.
No, the latter means the second thing that you said, which was that. Yeah.
All right, my bad. All right. That's something we will be watching. Obviously, we will have coverage for that if that breaking news does happen. I don't know if Pedro addressed this after the game, but falling to 17 straight losses, like my thought is, as most captains do, they go to the ocean floor with their boat. I don't understand having him abandon ship at this point. Did he address the 17-game losing streak and the 17th sweep of 2024 after today's game?
I mean, we've been asking him pretty much every day for a while now how it feels, and it's obviously getting worse, right? I mean, he said it sucks. He said that they're in the eye of the storm right now, and that the things are not good, right? I mean, it's quite obvious to see that, and you don't even need to be watching to know that 17 losses in a row is going to be tough on the people who are doing that losing. I think that they, be it Pedro and his coaching staff or the players, we talked to Andrew Benintendi after the game, and he said much the same thing. They feel that all they can do is keep doing what they've been doing, and I don't mean playing poorly, but working hard and trying to snap out of this. As anyone knows, this is not something they're trying to do, and so I think what they are trying to do is work to get better and to avoid this sort of result. And they believe that continuing to do that is going to be the best path forward, not only just to end this streak, but to try and accomplish some of the other things that they want to accomplish here in the last 2 months.
And obviously they have the biggest story is their poor performance on the field. And if Pedro gets fired, that's going to be a big story within its own right. But a story that we weren't really expecting in 2024 is Garrett Crochet being a starting pitcher. And then obviously the drama that came to the trade deadline. We know you spoke to him before today's game, and you thankfully shared that with us. So here is Garrett Crochet talking about the trade deadline and being thankful that he no longer has to talk about the trade deadline.
Now that the deadline is passed, and we can stop asking you about if you think you're going to get traded.
Yeah, I'm fired up about that.
What does it mean what are your thoughts on being here?
Yeah. Happy with exactly where I'm at. Everything typically happens for a reason. I think that, ultimately the right move was made, and here I am. Just going to focus on my next start and, keep going from there.
You and your agent stood up for your career, which seems to be widely admired by most. How do you feel about having done that stealthily, and where it leaves you with the White Sox going forward?
I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I thought it was good, but no one wants to hear what I have to say.
Ultimately, whether a deal went through or not, I don't think was dependent on that being said or not. I think that any team would see them on an innings side through last year and find it reasonable. I think that it was ultimately the right call, and that's about it.
But getting pushback from people all over the place for a guy that just works hard and as a baseball player.
Right.
It's not easy, right? It wasn't easy for you.
No, but I mean, that's kind of the nature of the game, you know. I guess when as baseball players we have a little bit of notoriety, so you know, if I wipe my ass the wrong way, I think someone would say something about it.
What was the period like for your family overall? Your wife, I guess, in particular. Was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it tough when?
It's challenging, especially because like ultimately for me, it's like I get on a plane and I'm somewhere else. She would have to move everything out of the apartment, set up a new apartment. You know, we've got a dog, figure out what to do with the dog. So it's a little bit more stressful on the family than it is for the player. But yeah, I think once the deadline came and went, a lot of stress was taken off of her shoulders.
What were your conversations and interactions like with Chris over the past few days?
You know, he was a busy man. He was on the phone a lot, so I didn't get to see him a ton. But yeah, I really haven't seen him a ton.
He had some comments talking about your guys' relationship being good. Is it
Yeah,
still
yeah.
good even after you know the maybe some communication confusion?
I believe so. Kind of like I said, you know, about the innings that I had last year. I think that, you know, anybody can understand where I'm coming from in that regard. I think it may have come across as greedy to some, but I think those in the industry realize that, you know, it's logical to have that line of thinking.
What did you kind of learn? What did you learn going through this whole process?
Not much. Maybe need to throw away my phone next time.
What about the plan going forward? Is there anything you can let us know about that?
No. Whether a workload conversation happens at some point, I imagine that I'll be, you know, involved in that. But at the same time, I'd rather not be on the forefront making the call. For me, it's you know, I want to go out there and pitch, and whenever I'm done, take the ball. You know, maybe I'll be pissed, but you know, that's I'd rather that way than knowing kind of what I've got going into the game, and then I feel like I'm trying to be a little economical with my pitches, and you know, maybe throwing some, you know, just trying to get out of an inning, trying to get a ground ball instead of just like, you know, blowing heaters like I typically would.
Is there a number in your mind that we should, you know, let's
Of
stop?
innings? No.
Is it kind of logical to think of it this way too, that look, the team's probably going to ramp you down some here down the stretch, like we're talking about it here, but in the same way, that's what you were kind of standing up for yourself. Like, if the team's willing to do it in a non-contending situation, it only makes sense that you would do it for yourself.
Right. You know, ultimately, I think that we've kind of just been playing it by ear, just like based on feel throughout the season. Whether that changes or not, I'm not sure. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I think that's a good way to go about it. I realize that, like, you know, ramping down maybe to prevent you from ever getting to, or me from ever getting to the point of, you know, I'm starting to feel it a little bit. Maybe I need a day. I think that if we ramp down, maybe we avoid that. I mean, who knows? I'd rather just, you know, throw as many innings as I can so that next year I could, you know, just be set free.
What's the support been like from your teammates through all this?
It's been great. Yeah, it's been awesome. You know, we got an incredible group of guys in here, and guys that have always had each other's backs. So I think that when, you know, things came out, everyone was very supporting, and you know, I continue to be supporting of them as well.
When Michael talked to us Monday when he left, he said he thought this team was closer than people think. Tommy Pham said that a couple times, I think. I mean, it's tough to say looking at the record, but do you see that in here being part of this whole thing?
Yeah. I think that we've put an emphasis on, you know, trying to create culture in the past, but I think this year was kind of something that just happened naturally. You know, we just had a good group of guys that enjoyed being around each other. Guys from all different, you know, walks of life, I suppose, guys that have different hobbies and stuff like that, but it made everybody unique, and I think ultimately, you know, made it a whole clubhouse.
What about closer to success? Do you see that too with this team? I mean, that's, you know, that, you know, the record's bad, that it may not be as long as people think to get back into, you know, contention or competitiveness.
Yeah, I feel very similar.
In the future, if you have any advice for other players, there's nothing wrong with standing up for your career, is there? I mean, obviously that's what you and your agents were doing here, you know, with all the hard work and the problems that you had in the past, right?
Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to.
With you guys kind of knowing for a while that, you know, guys are going to leave at the deadline? Is there a bit of an exhale now that it's over with to kind of focus on what your goals are for the last 2 months?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, probably since May, there's been talk of guys on the trade block, which is pretty early. So, we've been dealing with that for about 3 months now. So, yeah, I'd say so.
How tough has it been, 16 in a row, as a group, as a team, as major league players? How tough is that to kind of fathom every day in and day out? Right?
Yeah, about as tough as you could imagine.
Yeah, unforeseen, right? I mean, you wouldn't have seen anything like this back in spring training, right?
No.
Do you expect similar conversations about, what the team might do with you and your future to come up in the winter?
Who's to say? Well, once the off season hits, I mean, you never know what can happen. So right now, I'm just focused on getting through the season healthy, and until then, yeah, who knows?
Chris said he'd be open to opening dialogue about extension in the off season. Is that something you'd be open to as well?
Yeah, I'm open to anything.
Thanks much.
Thanks.
So that's Garrett Crochet, the White Sox current ace and currently with the team. We will react to that in just a second. We want to let you know about some of our pals like GameTime.
GameTime is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the GameTime app actually go down the closer it gets the first pitch. GameTime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, theater events nearest you. And with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. I've been to the Cubs-Padres game. I've been up to Milwaukee to see the Brewers versus the Yankees, and I always use GameTime. And I use GameTime because their GameTime guarantee, which says if I buy tickets in GameTime and I find seats that are in the same row and section that are less expensive than the ones you found on GameTime, GameTime will send you the difference, the 110% of that difference. GameTime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without any of the hitting fees, and they're obsessed with finding you ways to save money on tickets. GameTime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after that event starts. It's the place to go to find last-minute seats. And with zone deals like I got in Milwaukee, you pick the section, GameTime picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And like I just said, the GameTime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. You find seats in the same section or row on another site, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
And when you discover something new, whether that's a binge-worthy show, a song that you can't stop listening to, you have to share it with your friends. And since we are friends, I want to let you know about the great deal that Mint Mobile has. They offer premium wireless for $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal that there's no way that I can keep it to myself. I got to let my friends know, because friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your phone with any Mint Mobile plan. Just bring your own phone number along with your existing contacts. You could ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/White Sox. That's mintmobile.com/White Sox. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/White Sox. A $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers for 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabits on the unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's go to the Garrett Crochet stuff first. Vinny, was there anything that really stuck out to you from Garrett's demeanor? I think the biggest thing that sticks out to me is, this is his first year starting. He hasn't even started 32 games. He's only 25 years old, but he does seem extremely poised and professional when he's speaking to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that probably comes with being one of the leaders on this pitching staff already, even though he is in the situation that he's in. He the season started with him as the opening day starter, and it started without so many of the guys who were here last year, right? There is no Lance Lynn or Lucas Giolito or even Dylan Cease to kind of step up into that role. There was Eric Fetty, who was also here for the first time, but Garrett has grown up here a little bit, and certainly he's been around enough and is comfortable enough to feel like he can act that way in that clubhouse, and I think it comes through when he's talking to the media. As far as big takeaways, though, I mean, I thought the most interesting thing was kind of him looking forward and about how the rest of the season might go for him, talking about how the workload management might work out. That whole thing about not wanting to know how many pitches he's got to throw on a given day and just have them come out and tell him that he's done. That kind of was interesting from a mentality standpoint, right? But I think he's certainly made peace with that. I mean, not just made peace, it's part of everything, right? It's part of the contract extension thing that we just got through dealing with during the trade deadline. So he's very cognizant of what's going on with himself. And, looking back on the trade deadline, he's, like I said, he's very happy that he doesn't have to talk about it anymore. But, upfront about the stance that he took and seemingly, standing strong on it. And I think so many people really agreed with him or supported him in that opinion. So that's nice to see that might be kind of a future of baseball kind of thing. He might be a groundbreaker in that regard, and obviously we'll see how it plays out and how many more situations like his there are, because this has been described as so unique. But as time moves forward, maybe the Garrett Crochet method of approaching something like this is the way that many more will do so down the line.
I know Garrett said that he wants to pitch and he's looking forward to his next start and will look forward to pitching for the rest of the year. But in my view, I don't know what's to gain for Garrett Crochet and or the White Sox if he pitches past the trade deadline here. Are the White Sox in conversations of, hey, maybe we just shut this guy down? He's already got 114 innings for the year as a starter. There's really nothing for us to gain besides putting him at an injury risk now.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And I think I get what you're thinking about, because that's been a way that people have thought in the past, right? I mean, that was the whole Steven Strasburg thing, right? Was we're going to get to a date, we're going to get to a number of innings, and that's going to be it, because we think that's the way to preserve you moving forward. But whether it's Brian Bannister or Pedro Grifol or Chris Getz, or especially Garrett Crochet, we've heard that is maybe just not the way of the present. That might be the way of the past. And the idea is, instead of having him just go, and letting the leash go completely and letting him just run till his arm falls off, I think that there's a strategy behind this in terms of, okay, we're going to throw him every fifth day because that's good for him. He's going to have to learn how to do that if he's going to ever make 30-plus starts in a season, right? Why can't that 30-plus starts number come now? But maybe he only goes out there for 3 innings at a time. Maybe he only goes out there for 50 pitches at a time. And I think I don't think that's what the White Sox are going to do with him unless something pops up, unless there is some sort of physical issue. They're going to keep going on that 5-day schedule. You've heard him talk about how important he feels that is to him staying healthy and recovering well. And remember, whether it's with the White Sox or they trade him in the offseason, a team is going to want him to throw 32, 33 starts next year. So why not have him get used to that schedule right now, even if the workload isn't quite equivalent, because the innings won't be there as they significantly kind of ramp those down here over the next 2 months.
Yeah, obviously these two are different players. One's a DH/outfielder, the other one's a pitcher. But we did hear some comments from Chuck Garfien that he asked Eloy about what his DH routine was, and Eloy said that he didn't have one. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're seeing with Garrett. I mean, he is trying to adapt to a new position, and he's trying to create a routine. Gordon Beckham said what kept him in Major League Baseball for as long as it did was the routine that he had. And I think it's just making sure that Garrett has that routine so that he knows how to pitch 32 games in 2025, because that's what they expect. To go to something that Dave said in the chat, there are more letters in July than there were White Sox wins in it. Unfortunately,
that's a good joke. That's a good line, Dave. I'm going to steal that. I'm going to steal that for a lead coming up.
It's not a joke.
It's not a joke, true. but it's a good line. Good word.
It's a great line from Dave. The talks of what Jesse put out around Pedro. Would you find it odd for the White Sox to fire Grifol at this current moment? I thought it has always made sense for him to just finish out the season. You've let him get all the way to August already. I don't understand the idea of what Charlie Montoyo would bring to this team, especially for the last 2 months. But as we sit here with the White Sox having 3 wins in July as Pedro's job at stake here, we'll be talking about that tomorrow.
I mean, I would have had a much different answer had you asked me this question yesterday morning or yesterday around noon. But Chris Getz talked yesterday and was, perhaps in an effort to not be revealing at all, was rather revealing. He went. I mean, we played the sound on the show yesterday, obviously, but for those who weren't with us, he was asked, is Pedro's job safe for the rest of the year? And he said, we just got past the trade deadline. We're going to sit and think about where we go next as an organization. Like it seemed like it was an attempt to not talk about that subject at all, but in not talking about it, it was very noticeable that he was not saying, yes, of course he'll be with us for the rest of the season. So that alone has changed my opinion because I agree with the way you laid it out, and I think we've talked about that so many times already, which is, what are they going to gain? What is there to do here? They're not a team chasing a playoff spot that's in need of a boost or a jolt to get them over the edge. They're a team that is going to finish with the worst record in the league, you would imagine, and might be on pace to finish with the worst record ever, or at least in modern times. So the idea that Pedro Grifol being fired would be helpful in some way, I don't see a ton of good arguments for that. The only thing that I can think of is Chris Getz identifying that this is not the guy, after watching him for 4 months, this is not the guy to set the tone for the players we want to develop, because the last 2 months are going to be young guys coming up and focusing on the future and development. But again, why now? Right. And I think Herb, I keep going back to that Martin Maldonado move, right? Why did it make sense to get rid of Martin Maldonado at the All-Star break when you could have gotten rid of him in May, right? Like, it didn't. There was nothing to be gained from getting Martin Maldonado out of your lineup. You've already lost so many games. You've already seen a playoff chance go out the window. What was to be gained there? And I think I would ask a similar question about Pedro Grifol losing his job right now. The only thing I can think of is it would be some sort of like a PR thing, right? Like an optics thing. Like, hey, all right, 17 losses in a row. That was the breaking point kind of thing. But man, I don't know, because I think Chris Getz is thinking in such a long-term way with the rebuilding that he's doing right now, that to gain something so short-lived as that, I don't see the benefit.
Well, to ask this to both of you then, if it is more of a PR thing, especially with where they are in the season, is this a Getz call or is this a Jerry call?
Well, I'll go back to last summer when Chris Getz was hired, and we talked to Jerry Reinsdorf, and he was asked, what's Pedro's future going to be? And he pointed to Chris Getz, who was sitting right next to him, and said, that'll be Chris's call. So obviously we know that in recent managerial-related decisions, Jerry has played a big part. But as of his most recent public comment on the matter, he seemed to shift all of that decision-making power to Chris Getz. But at the same time, to pretend that Jerry Reinsdorf doesn't get to, isn't going to make calls for his own baseball team is kind of silly as well. So I certainly would imagine he would have as much impact as anyone, but I think at least what he said, this is Chris Getz's decision to make, but we'll see what happens.
Vinny, after 5 quality starts where he threw 6 innings, each of those ones, and didn't give him up more than 3 earned runs, we've have 2 consecutive absolute blow-ups by Drew Thorp on the mound. I'm theorizing that this is the second time he faced both of those teams, both the Seattle Mariners and now the second time he faced the Kansas City Royals, and they did adjustments to Drew Thorp. What was he and Pedro like after the game? Are they concerned about the league catching up to this kid and maybe him not having their necessary arsenal to get major league batters out now?
I mean, I'm sure that they're not quite that far down the road of being, afraid that he's not going to be able to be a major league pitcher. Obviously, he's still just making the first few starts of his career and still getting his first taste of the big leagues. But it was brought up that he, like what you just brought up, that he, hey, you saw these guys saw you again and they might have figured you out a bit. But that's on the White Sox now. That's on Drew Thorp, certainly, and it's on Ethan Katz, and it's on the White Sox in general to say, okay, They made the adjustment. Now you make the adjustment, right? I mean, it's that's what baseball is, and the great players and the great pitchers know how to adjust, not just in the off season to tinker with their repertoire or something like that, but in the middle of a game. And if you got to deviate from the game plan, you got to deviate from the game plan, because your job's to be effective and to win the game. So it is not surprising that someone who's just up from the minor leagues, would still need to make some moves in order to make those necessary adjustments to become successful. We see it all the time. Someone comes up and is either successful right away and then that fades, or is not successful right away and they need to figure out how to get to that point. So that's where Drew Thorp is right now, and I think you can be pretty safe in predicting that he's going to have 2 more months at the bare minimum to try and make some adjustments of his own.
Yeah, 9 starts for Thorp so far. 3 of them terrible. 3 of them terrible. 6 of them good. 2/3 of an inning against Seattle. 6 hits, 8 earned runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, 3 homers. And then June 16th against Arizona, 3 1/3, 6 hits, 7 earned runs, 5 walks, 1 home run, no strikeouts. Today, 5 innings pitched, 7 hits, 6 earns, 2 walks, no strikeouts, 1 homer. But then he's got 6 2-earned runs, 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 6 1/3, 1 earned run, 6 innings, no earned run, 6 innings, no earned run. So it's either been great or horrendous for Drew Thorp, which is probably really builds a lot of confidence for a young pitcher, huh? I'm either the untouchable out there, or I can't even cut it in this league. I just want to end this on this question, because I think it's what will lead into tomorrow's off-day show. Does Pedro Gallardo manage the team on Friday?
Yes, I think that these are just rumors, and that Pedro will survive this year, especially because, remember, the Joe Colley thing still came out earlier this year. The last thing Jerry Reinsdorf wants is to make Joe Colley right. So, yes, he'll coach and manage the rest of the year.
I say no, because I like quality journalism, and I know we would do an emergency podcast and have a great show, and lots of people would tune in to hear what we have to say. So I shoot for no.
Okay.
Sarah being very selfish with that answer, but okay.
For the sake of journalism. Sarah says no.
We only have one journalist on this route.
Yeah, journalist Vinnie Duber.
That's
yes
it.
Or no? Does Pedro manage on Friday?
I think there's cases to be made for both, which is, again, like I said, Ed, you asked me this yesterday morning, I would have been like, well, why is this a question? But it is a question now. I really don't know. I don't know.
Okay. So what we got? One I don't know.
And I think that should say
yes.
something, right? Like
yes.
I understand that I didn't give you a yes or a no, but I think it should say something that I'm saying I don't know.
I'll split it. I'll go with Herb, and I'll say he will manage on Friday. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It is surprising to be in this moment, because I think I agree with you. If Chris Getz doesn't say that, I don't even think I'm having this thought. It's not even win streak regardless. It's just that was the last thing that he was answered, and he was like, yeah, there's a lot of things going on. I mean, there's a lot of ways to just avoid that question, and he didn't. And I think that probably speaks the most about Pedro Gallardo's future. Anyways, that's going to do it. We had a live watch-along for the 17th straight loss for the White Sox, and a 45-minute post-game show for you as well. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and read his work at allchgo.com. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show. Thank you to our friends over at Family Farms and Cajun Nation for supporting Mardi Gras in July, and go support them at baconwrapchicken.com, or also at your meat department in your Woodman's, Burkott's, or Mariano's. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. We'll have an off-day show at 1 p.m. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.